Jacinta, Ellie, I'm going to have to close this for a little while, okay? I'll be back in a little while. I'm just going to be on. Okay?
Aaron, just promote Rabbi Hecht to proper status. Aaron.
Okay. Baruch Hashem, no pressure. No pressure, Rabbi Hecht. No pressure. I just want to let you know that Moshe Kotlarski told me if you do a good job now, he'll invite you for the kinnis to introduce him. So no pressure. But if you,
I'm going off. Yossi, you're on.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you everyone for joining this very special webinar. I'd like to thank Rabbi Masinta, Chabad of Santon, and of course our speaker for putting this all together, this wonderful and important evening. Topic of the discussion tonight is joy. And joy has always been an important and an integral part of who we are, of our faith, of our heritage, of our practice. King David tells us, Ibdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve God with joy. And of course, the joy is the grease that greases all of our service to Hashem. Baal Shem Tov, the holy Baal Shem Tov, and the Hasidic masters since have all raised the idea of simcha, of joy, to a much higher and greater level. Not only do we serve God and do mitzvahs and live in general with great joy, but joy itself is a form of serving Hashem. And if we ever needed an injection of joy, it's now more than ever. It's been many, many months that people have been either at home, not being able to socialize, not seeing family. Simchas have been curtailed, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all the joyous occasions of life have been cut down to a bare minimum. And of course, taking into consideration the latest tragedies in Israel, we really need and are in need of a great injection of joy. And so, really, I don't think there's anyone better than Rabbi Abba Pelmer to give us a talk and a inspiration about joy. Abba lives joy. It's a joy to speak and to hear Abba. Abba is also a personal friend. We spent many a summer in the Canadian Laurentians. We won't talk about too much of that tonight. Abba is the rabbi of the shul at the shore, and Abba exudes simcha, he exudes joy. And I'm sure by just listening to him tonight and absorbing what he has to tell us and teach us, it'll give us that incredible, important injection of joy, which, as I said, we're so much in need of. So without further ado, and I don't want to take up of your precious time, I give you a good friend, a wonderful rabbi, Rabbi Abba Pelmer.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Hecht. It's a great honor to be introduced by you, one of my heroes growing up, and still one of my heroes. I want to let you know, you and Rabbi Masinta owe me big time, big time, because I am giving up a family brunch on Mother's Day here. It's Mother's Day here in the United States of America, and my wife has organized that some of my children are here with my grandchildren. They're enjoying a delicious brunch, and I'm talking to you, okay? So I just want to let you know, Rabbi Hecht, that you owe me now at least one brunch when we see each other. That's it. I just want to get that off the table immediately, off the table. I was now talking about mothers. I wish that my mother was alive today to hear Rabbi Hecht introduce me, because she would never have believed it. Rabbi Hecht introducing me. Usually I get to introduce Rabbi Hecht. And if there's anyone that gave me the feeling of joy and happiness, it came from my mother. I know that you in South Africa didn't know my mother, and she would be the least likely candidate to exude joy. The least likely candidate. Why do I say that? Because my mother was a Holocaust survivor who lived through the worst hells that anyone could perpetuate on the human race. She started off by being a hostage in the Lodz ghetto from 1939 to 1944. So for 5 years, she was a hostage in the Lodz ghetto. The ghetto was itself, I don't know, hellish. Then she was transported to Auschwitz, and she finally was liberated in Bergen-Belsen in April of 1945. So in all practical reality, my mother should have been finished as a human being, literally done, kaput. I mean, when you go through such experiences, your parents are gone, lost a sister. I mean, she's 6 out of first cousins survived. The natural tendency of human beings would have been, I am finished as a human being. That's it. I have no faith. I have no hope. I have nothing. There's no future. But my mother miraculously came out of the concentration camps and decided that she's going to start a family. And thank God she did that, because I'm around today. My sister is also part of that family. And my mother was able, through everything that she had gone through and all of the hardships, and even after the war, she went through many hardships. She was able to find within herself the capacity to laugh, to be joyous, and to be happy. And that was passed on to me. So if anyone says to me, Rabbi, it's impossible, I can't be happy. Like, I can't exude joy. You don't understand. I'm a natural born curmudgeon. I know, I'm in my congregation, I have a number of those people. I feel bad for them. I cry for them, that you're natural born curmudgeon. But I say there's still hope for you. If you look at Rachel Perlmutter and you look at her life and the fact that she was able to enjoy and laugh and understand that there is more to life than just being negative, you can do it too. You can do it too. And as Rabbi Hecht said, joy is a fundamental building block. One of the main and key ingredients is of service to Hashem. It starts with David HaMelech, Ivdos Hashem b'simcha. But Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah tells us that, God is so good and has blessed us, even though sometimes those blessings are hidden and it comes through hardships, but we are blessed. And when we don't appreciate that, when we don't understand that, look how good we have it. I mean, I live here in Long Beach, California, beautiful weather with all of the challenges, today. And in the last part of the Devarim, he says that when he talks about the curses, Rahman al-Itzlan, that God forbid, he says, Tachas, why are these happening? Because you may have worshipped God, but you didn't worship him with joy. You didn't have that joie de vivre. You didn't have that excitement. You came to shul in the morning and you said, yeah, I'm here, but I'm here only because Rabbi Hecht called me. So he told me some guy has yard site. So, I'm here. But do I want to be here? No. I'd rather be in bed sleeping with a pillow over my head. Listen, it's happened to me many times. I grew up in Montreal, freezing Canada, and then the rabbis used to call me in the morning when I was a teenager, told me to come to the minyan, and who wanted to go there? But that's the key. The key is to serve God, whatever we do, with a gladness in our heart. The Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, put it down in words that today psychologists have been struggling and working, and papers have been written by great institutions, Harvard and MIT and Dartmouth and Al-Taira, many of the great institutions here in the United States of America, high-class institutions, have worked hard, and professors have spent their life writing about happiness and how to achieve happiness and how to achieve the mindset of joy. And the Alter Rebbe, who preceded them by hundreds of years, wrote it clearly in the Tanya. He didn't need to be in Harvard. He didn't need a research grant. He didn't need students running and plagiarizing papers. The Alter Rebbe wrote it clearly in the Tanya. And he writes that in chapter 26, that when you are facing a challenge, and we all face challenges. I mean, I wish I'd say it every simcha of my children. I say, I wish I could bless you that you should never face any challenges in life, but that's unrealistic. There's no such thing as facing challenges, not facing challenges. And the Alter Rebbe writes that if you are facing a challenge, and he gives an example of two wrestlers, and even though one of the wrestlers is more powerful and stronger, but he's ill prepared, and he doesn't have a good mindset, and the other wrestler is weaker and not that well trained, but he comes with alacrity and zrizus, the second one is going to be victorious. And we could never defeat any of our challenges that we are facing by being cold-hearted. It doesn't work. Depression and melancholy are not the symptoms and are not the ingredients for us to overcome our challenges. What's the ingredients? Simcha upsichas halev, with joy and the openness of heart. When one has that alacrity, that enthusiasm, that confidence that comes with knowing that I am going to overcome this, that I am going to be successful, that I am going to be victorious. When I believe that in my heart of hearts, and even though that I am not as strong as my opponent, and I am not as big as my opponent, but nonetheless, I know in my heart that I can do this, and I walk out there with joy, with this kind of an understanding, that is already half the time, that's already the path to victory. Now I got to go and I got to execute. But it all starts with a mindset. It all starts with the idea that I need to know. Now, when I wake up in the morning, when I say Moida Ani, I have a decision that I need to make. And this is crucial, because this is going to set forth your entire rest of the day. And I say to myself, okay, what kind of a day is it going to be? I look in the mirror, I'm going to wash my face. I look at myself and I say, Abba Perlmutter, what kind of a day are you going to have today? And if I decide that, you know what, today is going to be a day where I am going to be happy. I'm not going to let all the little nuisances of life, all of these little things that aggravate me, they're nothing. They mean nothing to me today. Today is going to be a day I'm going to walk. I'm going to start with davening. It's going to be a good davening, a strong davening, and then get into the office and, hit the road running. That's the day I know that great things are going to happen. Great things are going to happen. And how did it start? It started all with a decision in the morning. Maida Ani, to be taken seriously. Now, how many times if you look in the Rebbe's letters and the Rebbe's talks, Simcha Pirates Gather. How many times did he mention that? Over and over and over again. We have a situation. We are not moving forward. Rebbe, what do I do? Help me, please. Simcha Pirates Gather. There's a fence. You can't go get over the fence. Break through the fence. But how do I break through the fence, Rebbe? Simcha Pirates Gather. Joy, and happiness and confidence that comes from the joy and working to it, that's going to get you through. But depression, something that you're going to say to yourself, woe me, woe me, woe me. And we know people that we call them in America, we call this Debbie Downers. There's a name for those people, Debbie Downers, that no matter where you are, what kind of party you are, there's always going to be one person that no matter what, you may be having a great time, you may be having a good time laughing and enjoying and whatever it is, this one person is going to suck the air out of the room. This Debbie Downer is always going to find the cloud in every single lining. And I feel bad for those people, really, because living life is short. We know that life is short, and we don't know how long we have. Mirz Hashem, we have 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, for the youngsters, 100 years, whatever it is. But life is short in the blink of an eye. So why allow ourselves to wallow in this kind of a terrible negative attitude when in our minds we conflict? Now, here's the problem. If it's so easy, and this is the recipe to success, and the Eibishter wants it, the Tzaddikim want it, the Rebbe wants it, everybody wants it, so why don't we have it? Why do we have that people are spending billions and billions of dollars around the world trying to find an elusive thing called happiness? Please, how to make me happy? Go to any book, go online and Google and go to Amazon and type in how to get happy. You'll find a library of books by people that are miserable, but they're going to tell you how to be happy. They themselves are miserable, but they write a book to tell you how you should be happy. Me, no, 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 no. I could never be happy, but I know the secret of how to make you happy. So why is that so? If it's so crucial and so important, and if you don't trust me, go online again and look up studies on the benefits, the physical benefits. Forget about the spiritual benefits. We talked about that. Rabbi Hecht mentioned it in his introduction. I've mentioned it to you a few times. Forget about the spiritual benefits. Let's say you're not a spiritual person. Rabbi, I don't care. My neshama can take care of itself. I want to know, tell me about physically, my body. Am I going to be better off? There's hundreds of studies that will tell you, you want to live longer? Be happy. You want to have more friends? Be happy. You want to reduce the risk of a heart attack? Be happy and laugh. All of these things are physical benefits. So if we know physically, it's beneficial. Spiritually, we know that this is a key ingredient. Psychologically, you see it between happy people and unhappy people? Do I have to prove it to you? No. So all of these factors I'll come into one road. I'll lead to one road. And what is that? Be happy. So why can't we be happy? Why are we so always rabbi this, rabbi that? The answer is twofold. Number one, because happiness is such an important ingredient, we have this fellow on the left side that we call the Yetzer Hara. We have this, what we call an evil inclination or a negative inclination that always tries to derail us. So the moment that I say to myself in the morning, you know what, Pearl Mother, today's a happy day. Today's going to be a happy day. Let's get going. Immediately what happens? Right away, thoughts enter into my mind. And they say to me, why are you so happy? I mean, wait, you're so happy with yourself. I mean, what are you so happy with yourself for? Look how many problems you have. You have this, you have that, you have that, you have that. So the Yetzer Hara is going to try to trip you up. Absolutely going to try to trip you up. The key is, as the Alter Rebbe says, don't engage him. Don't engage him. As soon as a negative thought comes in, flip the script. Come back to the idea that, you know what, today is going to be a different day. Tomorrow's going to be a different day. I'm going to be a different person today. I understand. Second, this is what I'd like to just talk about for a little bit, is one of the key barriers to happiness is what we call destination happiness. What do I mean by destination happiness? When we are little kids, this is the way we are trained. Okay? Our fathers say to us, Abba, come, let's learn Aleph Beis. No, I don't want, I'm not interested. No, you went to Cheder. Tell me what you learned in Aleph Beis. Show me what you learned in Aleph Beis. No. I'll give you a candy. Oh, okay. Now we're talking. How about a lollipop? Not just a regular candy. Okay, a lollipop. Okay, a lollipop. Okay. Here's the lollipop. Here I am. I'll do the Aleph Beis. Okay? So now what I'm trained to do is destination happiness. I get that lollipop, I'm going to be happy. Okay, I take the lollipop afterwards, I go outside, and what do I see? I see around the corner the Hechts live. The Hechts live, Kei Nahara, I was a small family, they were Kei Nahara, big family, and I see my friend Rabbi Yossi Hecht, he's driving a tricycle. So I run to my dad, I say, Dad, did you see what Rabbi Hecht bought Rabbi Yossi? He got him a tricycle. Can I have a tricycle? Well, you know what? Look, Rabbi Hecht is the rabbi of a big shul. He makes a lot of money. You know what? He can afford a tricycle for his son Yossi. Maybe even got it from his brother Shalom Ber. You don't know. But now, Dad, please. I'd be so happy. If you got me a tricycle. So my father, who was also a Holocaust survivor, said, why? I want my son to be unhappy. And Yossi Hecht has a tricycle. Okay, Abba's going to get a tricycle too. So Abba gets a tricycle and he's the happiest guy in the world till one day he walks out and he sees Shia Hecht has a bicycle. What? He's got a two-wheeler. I'm on a little three-wheeler. So now I go back to my dad. I say, Dad, it's not fair. I see one of the Shia Hecht he has a bicycle. Can I get a bicycle? He says, but I just got your tricycle, Dad. No, the tricycle is I'm too big for a tricycle. You get me a bicycle, please get me a bicycle. Okay, I'll get you a bicycle. So now I'm happy with a bicycle till I see someone riding down the street with a fancy bicycle, and then I want a fancy bicycle. And our entire lives are predicated on the idea that if I could just get that one thing, just that one thing that's just a little bit elusive from me, one step up, then I'm going to achieve happiness. So it goes from the bicycle to the speed bicycle to the car to the this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And our entire lives are based upon this idea that if I only can find the right job, if I get the right job, because the job I'm in right now is terrible, it's horrible. I can't believe I'm in this job. But if I get the promotion, then I'm going to be happy. Because until then, I can't be happy because I'm looking for that one sliver that's going to allow me to open up my heart, and then I'll finally be happy. That kind of destination happiness, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, never comes. It absolutely never comes, because our entire lives we're going to be chasing that shadow of happiness. But only if I would be the owner of Amazon. If only I would be the owner of Amazon. You know how happy I would be if I would be the owner of Amazon? Oi, I would be so happy, and I'd give so much charity, and people would love me, and everything would be so good to me. Unfortunately, there already is an owner of Amazon. He's not willing to give up his position, so you're out of luck. But that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Destination happiness. Oh, when I get there to that rainbow, when I get to that pot of gold in the distance, then I'm going to allow myself to be happy. So what happens? Our entire lives we chase, and we never reach that destination. And before you know it, it's over. The game is over, and we never finish that line. Ladies and gentlemen, life is not a destination. Life is a journey. Every part of that life is the destination. There's an old story that was written. It's an anonymous author by a gentleman that was in a train that bought a ticket from point A to point B, and the train just keeps on rolling, and he never gets to point B, and he sees trees and villages and forests and cities passing by, and he's getting impatient, and he's waiting for his train to stop, but the train never stops. Why not? Because the train is never going to stop, because there's no destination point. The end of the train is the end of our life. While we're on that journey, that's where the destination is, to enjoy every single moment and every single day. But what happens? We can't focus on the most important things of our life. We need to focus and train ourselves on all the trivialities that are around us. And that's why we have such a very difficult time of breaking out of this mindset that I could only be happy if certain criteria fall into place. And the reason is because we have a default position that's called selfishness. It's called selfishness. And this is not a condemnation on the human race. This is reality. Hashem made it that the person I think about most during the day, I'm sorry to say this, Rabbi Hecht, is me. I mean, half of the day I think about you, but the other half of the day, and 50.1%, I think about me. And the default position is all about me. Well, how does anything in the world affect me? The weather, how does it affect me? This, how does it affect me? Everything affects me. Everything. The whole world revolves around Abba Promoter. That's it. That's it. That is the way the world was created. There's great tzaddikim that break out of this mold, that understand that it's not about me, that I'm only here. But for the average person, the average Joe in the world, our default position has always been that selfish gene that we have. It's all about me. And if it's all about me, there's a drop of narcissism in each and every single one of us that doesn't allow us to see the beauty of the outside world. It clouds us from seeing what's really going on out there. And all that we can really absorb in our minds is this idea of how everything affects me. I'll give you an example, ladies and gentlemen. One of the banes of being a Chabad rabbi, now I'm not sure how it works in South Africa, but here in the United States, I'm pretty sure in South Africa it's probably the same way, is that we have to be fundraisers. Am I correct, Rabbi Hecht? Does this work the same way? That 100%. Chabad rabbis are the fundraisers in South Africa? They are. 100%. Okay. This is the bane of our existence for most people. Some people love it. Some people love it, but 99.1%, that means that 0.9% Chabad rabbis love the fundraising. 90, maybe Rabbi Hecht's brother-in-law, Rabbi Duchman, maybe he loves it. But for the rest of us, for normal people, we don't like it. We don't like, go bother somebody for money. And he's going to say no. Most of the time you get a no thrown out of his office. I'm a rabbi. Throw me out of your office. So we don't like it. We avoid it. But you can't avoid it too much because there's mortgages to be paid, there's salaries to be paid, there's electricity to be paid, and you don't want to sit outside on the street while they're moving your furniture out. So you go out. Now, who do you raise money from? People with money. And those people are the ones that put up the biggest barriers to see you. I mean, someone with no money will see you any day, no problem. You want to make an appointment, they'll see you. They have all the time in the world. They just don't have any money. So the ones that you need don't let you in, and the ones that you want, okay, let you in. So finally, after many tries, I tried to get into this one rich guy here in Long Beach. Not a religious person, not a giver to any religious institutions, but he is a giver to museums and this. So finally, after 60 tries, the guy tells me, you know what, Rabbi Perlmutter, I'll give you 7 minutes on Monday morning. Come at 9:15 Monday morning, and I'll give you 7 minutes. That's it. At 9:22, you're out of my office. Goodbye. You're done. Oh, I can't tell you how excited I am. I mean, finally, 60 times I've tried to reach him, and now I got this appointment to Mr. Teitelbaum. Oh, I can't. The first thing I do is I take a pen and a paper. I write what we call a zettel to the Rebbe. I write, Rebbe, I got this appointment with Teitelbaum. Please, Monday morning, I need you to put everything aside. Forget about the rest of the world, Rebbe. I don't want you to worry about any of your other Hasidim. I want you to give me your only attention on Monday morning at 9:15. I'm begging you, Rebbe, please, just concentrate on me for 7 minutes. That's all I'm asking you, Rebbe. No more. I'll never ask you anything else, okay? And I send the letter off to the aisle. That's it. Okay, took care of number one. Number two is I can't sleep Sunday night. I'm so excited and nervous. I'm going into this big Veer, 37th floor of the World Trade Center here downtown Long Beach. I am telling you, I'm so nervous. I can't sleep. My wife tells me, what's wrong with you? I have an appointment with Teitelbaum tomorrow. He could change my life. With one word, my whole life. He could pay off the mortgage. He could put it this. Okay, Monday morning, I daven like I haven't davened in a long time. I say every word in Shacharis. I say Tachanon 3 times. I put on not only Rabbeinu Tam's, I put on 4 pairs of tefillin. I don't know what to do. Okay, I learned Chitas, Rambam, Zohar. Okay. Then I remembered, ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Teitelbaum, I read in the newspaper, he loves these certain type of oranges, blood oranges. Don't ask me why, but he's a fanatic for these blood oranges. So I figured, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a fast one. I'm coming with a dozen blood oranges. That will seal the deal. Okay. So on the way to the office, there's a supermarket here called Vaughn's. I go into Vaughn's. I say, they have blood oranges. Take a bag, fill up with the blood oranges, put a tie on, and I'm going to the express counter. Express means 10 items or less because I'm rushing. I got to get to 9:15 to Teitelbaum. What do I find? Standing in that line, that line where it says Express, Mrs. Greenberg. And Mrs. Greenberg is an old lady, a Holocaust survivor, and she has in her bag 18 items. 18 items she has in her bag. Could you believe that, ladies and gentlemen? The sheer chutzpah and audacity of this Mrs. Greenberg, who's now moving at the pace of an iceberg. You know how fast an iceberg moves? Very slowly. She's moving each item she's taking out. And with each item, a piece of my heart is dissolving. Because I see now the clock is moving. Chick, 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 chick. And every item I see my effort and my possibility flying down. So normally, what I would do is I would take Mrs. Greenberg and her 18 items, put it in the basket and push her out the store because my head is exploding. What's going on over here? 18 items, and you're blocking me at the promoter from my appointed round of meeting Teitelbaum. You know what this could mean, this disaster? I mean, you don't know what's going on over here. So normally what's happening is you fall into this trap. You fall into this trap of selfishness. You start thinking only about yourself. How about thinking about Mrs. Greenberg? How about thinking that maybe, possibly, Ulai Efsher, Mrs. Greenberg comes out once a week. Once a week she comes out to shop. And this is her day. This is her one outing a week. And she looks forward to this an entire week. She looks forward to this. How about that? How about thinking about that for a second, Pearl Mother, instead of your selfishness? And all of a sudden I say to myself, you know what? Today is going to be a different day. I'm not getting excited. I'm not going to let my blood boil over. I'm not going to let my head explode. I'm going to help Mrs. Greenberg, the Sefer Panim Yafis, with a good and glad heart. And what I do is I help her to the car and I put the things in her car. And you know what I say to myself? If this is destiny, if this is what Hashem wanted to test me this morning, the only way that I can pass this test is through Psichas Alev, the opening of my heart and through joy. And as I help Mrs. Greenberg get into my car, and all of my nervousness that I had about meeting Teitelbaum has dissipated, has left me, has gone. Nothing. I drive down, I'm whistling, I'm happy. Keser Asara, whatever will be, will be. My coming to his office with a completely different attitude. My attitude, first walking in would have been, respect and cowardice and shriveling because I made a decision right there with the help of the Rabbeinu Shalom that today is not going to be like yesterday. I'm not going to allow that selfish gene to dictate who I am today, but I am going to allow that Simcha Pirates Gather. I'm going to allow that joy and the joie de vivre that I know that I have inside myself to really come forward and to appreciate that there are other people's concerns out there besides mine. I walk into the office with a different kind of confidence. And I sit down at the table and I look him in the face and he looks me in the face. We have a discussion and goodbye. That's it. I leave. Now, whether I was successful, I can't tell you because if I tell you right away, Rabbi Hecht is going to call me for a loan. So I don't want to say anything. I didn't get anything. Now the guy gave me nothing and forget about it. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. But why I say this to you is because this happens to us so many times during our day. So many times we have the opportunity of expressing our joie, our happiness, our caring about someone else. All we need to do, and this is the crucial, if anything I want to leave you with, is this one word decision. Hashgacha pratis, like Rabbi Hecht mentioned about the Baal Shem Tov, there are many things in our life that we can't control. God puts us in certain situations. What we can control is this decision that we will, at this precise moment, do the right thing. And the right thing will come if we are conscious and train ourselves to do it with joy and happiness and laughter. Now, joy and happiness and laughter are not constant. You're not always going to be happy. The happiest person in the world is never going to be happy all the time. It is a state of mind. There are going to be times that you're going to be sad, and there's times that you're going to be melancholy, and there's times that you're going to be angry, and there are times that's the way we are. We live vicissitudes in our lives, ladies and gentlemen. But the overbearing and the overreaching attitude has to be one of great gratitude and gratefulness, which allows us to be happy, which then allows us to make good decisions. And if you look at the Rebbe's letters over and over again, I remember one letter I just saw recently of a woman that wrote into the Rebbe, and she said to the Rebbe, my husband's business is failing, I need a bracha. And the Rebbe's response to her was, I'm very surprised that I did not hear from you about the simcha that went on in your family recently about your daughter becoming a kala. The Rebbe wrote, for many years you wrote to me requests about a blessing that your daughter should become a kala. Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter blessed you, she became a kala, but you don't let me know. How come you didn't let me know? And this is what the Rebbe writes to her, if you would have started your letter that Rebbe, I want to thank you for the brachas. And I want to thank Hashem Yisbarach for the brachas. Now, by the way, could my husband also receive a bracha? So you show gratitude and happiness, the Eibishter is going to treat you, repay you with gratitude and happiness. But if your entire life is always going to look at the negative, then Hashem Yisborach says, you know what? So this teaches us and tells us over and over again that the key to success is, you know what? Wake up in the morning, think about the beauty and the joy that you have in your life, regardless of where you receive that beauty and joy, and make a decision that today is going to be completely different. Do it piecemeal, piece by piece by piece. And before you know it, you're a joyous person. And when you become a joyous person, you become more friends and more people are attracted to you. You have a happier life. You know, issues that used to bother you before are not bothering you as much. And all of a sudden, you say to yourself, wow, wasn't I lucky to come that Sunday evening at 7 o'clock in for that webinar and listen to Rabbi Perlmutter and Rabbi Hecht, who talked about the importance, and look at my life now. And if that could be accomplished, then, ladies and gentlemen, it was worth the price of admission right now. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating in this, because when I speak to you, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to me. As a matter of fact, what I do is on Zoom, I pin myself, and I'm looking at myself because why? I need a message to myself. Because even though that theoretically I may be a joyous person, and people may look at me and say, oh, look at that happy person. If they only knew. So I got to reiterate this position over and over again. And simcha and joy is something that needs to be recharged constantly, over and over and over again. And I am hoping and praying that we are right now, we're heading towards Shavuos. And Shavuos, of course, is the celebration and the anniversary of the giving of the Torah. What a beautiful time it would be if the Eibishter himself would say to himself, hey, you know what? Regardless of all the pleasure I get from the Yidden doing mitzvahs, and we know how happy he is when a little girl of 3 years old on a Friday night strikes a match and lights that candle. The Eibishter is sitting in heaven and he's beaming. He loves this. And when mitzvahs are done over and over, he gets the greatest pleasure. So we're asking the Eibishter, please, I understand that you're happy when Yidden do mitzvahs. And I know that when Mashiach comes, it's not going to be the same because the challenges will not be the same. But when a Jew in South Africa rolls up his sleeve and puts on tefillin, and then another Jew in South Africa sits down to a class and learns Torah, and then connects with a Jew in Israel, and then connects with a Jew in Australia, connects with another Jew in the United States and Argentina and all over the world. So regardless of the happiness, Eibishter, that you're receiving from our doing the mitzvahs, and we're happy to do the mitzvahs, but let that not be a factor in your decision to send Mashiach. Please, send Mashiach, and even though that it's not going to be the same when Mashiach comes, we understand there won't be any challenges, but you know what? Bring Mashiach. And as Rabbi Hecht, for those who have, seen the videos, and always when he stood in front of the Rebbe and there was a rally, then we want Mashiach now. And I think he introduced the song. Am I right, Rabbi Yossi? Am Yisrael, have no fear, right? Mashiach will be here this year was Rabbi Hecht. I think in the Tavshin Membeis at a rally, he introduced the song, let's not be afraid. Mashiach is coming. Rebbe, he would always say, we want to give you a bracha. Take us out of Golus now. The Eibishter, listen, I know the Rebbe and Rabbi Hecht up in Shemayim are working furiously for this end. May it happen now. And on Shavuos, we should be Zoiche, we should merit to all be in Eretz Yisrael HaKadosh with the Beis HaMikdash, with Mashiach Tzidkenu. May it happen right speedily in our day. Thank you very much for having me.
Rabbi Perlmutter, that was absolutely inspirational. I want you to give 3 practical things that people should do this evening here in Johannesburg, today in California, and tomorrow, what we should be doing. 3 practical things to bring about Mashiach, which will bring joy to the entire world. 3 practical things.
The first practical thing will be like this. Do something for someone else. That's number 1. I don't think that there is a greater way of achieving joy. So, for example, if, for God forbid, you are now in a situation where you have a relationship that's torn. You know, your brother came to your son's bar mitzvah and you gave him Ravi instead of Shishi. Okay? And he's angry. How dare you gave your brother-in-law Shishi and me you gave Ravi? I'm not sure if this resonates, but you know what? In Shuls, there's a hierarchy of which aliyah you get. And your brother is angry and he's not yet. Know what, ladies and gentlemen? This is number one. Repair a relationship. Repair the relationship. Because I know that deep down in your heart, you cannot achieve happiness if there's something out there that's weighing heavy on you. So doing something for someone else, literally doing something for someone else, making a phone call. Today is Mother's Day. United States of America, this is the cradle of capitalism, has taken such a sacred, honorable mitzvah, like mothers, honoring mothers, and has turned it into a commercialization. Okay, regardless, that's a different speech for another time. Call your mother, okay? Your mother is waiting, number one. Number two, you have to do something for yourself. You got to be happy yourself, otherwise you're not going to be. So you have to do something for yourself this evening that is going to strengthen your commitment to Yiddishkeit. Whether that is giving tzedakah, writing a check to an institution, whether that's, davening Ma'ariv, whatever it is, making a commitment to come to a Torah class, that is something that we can do right now. We don't have to wait till tomorrow. We can do right now. Think about something that you have pushed off for a long time, and you make that practical commitment that, you know what, I know Rabbi Hecht, Rabbi Mesinta give classes. I know the shuls are open now. I'm going to now come to a minyan, whatever it's going to be. If we can do those things, number one, repair a relationship. Number two, call someone that you haven't called in a while and make their day. They'd be shocked to hear from you. They'd be shocked. And the joy that will exude from the other side of the phone. My kids now, they don't even know what a phone is. I mean, we have these devices. We have these fancy devices. They do everything except make a phone call. I mean, I could tell you what the weather is in Johannesburg. I don't have to ask you. I could look up on my fancy phone, but I make a phone call, not a tweet, not an email, not a text. Make a phone call. And number three is make a practical commitment to do a mitzvah. Whatever that mitzvah that resonates with you, whether for you it's davening with a minyan, whether it's taking a class at the Chabad house, whether it's keeping a little bit better kosher, whatever it's going to be, tonight can be a wonderful, wonderful evening for you to sit down with yourself, your family, whatever it is, and make a commitment to do something that will strengthen Yiddishkeit throughout the world. We know Yisrael Revim Zelazeh. We are all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. The Torah had to be given when the entire Jewish people were there. If one is missing, it's done. We're done. So tonight, let's resolve, number one, to love and care for each other. Because you know what the rest of the world is like. I don't have to tell you what's going on, in the world. Let us care for each other. Let us love each other. Let us worry about each other. And let us work to be the best possible person that I can be, step by step. As I always say, inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. Make small little commitments, but keep progressing. And hopefully, when Mashiach comes, that'll finish off our job for us.
Rabbi Perlmutter, I want to know, are you going to do those three things tomorrow? Are you promising us that you're doing those three things?
Okay. So I'm going to answer this question with a story with the Rebbe and the Rashag. It was in Tavshin Yud Gimel, 1953. The Rebbe was visiting the Rashag, and the Rashag was sitting Shiva, I believe, for his mother then. And the Rebbe came in to be Menachem Avol, to comfort him. And the Rashag asked him, tell me, Rebbe, do you say Agdomus on Shvuos? Shvuos is coming. And the Rashag said to the Rebbe, because it says that in the Siyum, the Lubavitcher Rebbes used to say Agdomus. We don't. The Hasidim do not say Agdomus, but the Rebbes, the leaders, used to say Agdomus. So the brother-in-law asked the Rebbe, do you say Agdomus? The Rebbe's answer was, it says that the Nesiim say Agdomus. The Rebbe say Agdomus. The Rashad kept pressuring him and said, Rebbe, do you say Agdomus? A few times. And the Rebbe kept saying, it says the Nesiim say Agdomus. he wouldn't take that for an answer. He wanted the Rebbe to say, yes, I say Akdamus, but if anybody knew the Lubavitch Rebbe, you're not going to pressure him into giving an answer he doesn't want to give. So the Rebbe said to him like this: I had a teacher called the Rogachover. Rabbi Yosef, right? Rabbi Yosef Rosen was in Dvinsk. The Rogachover was up. So one day someone came to him and said to him, tell me, Rebbe, do you put on Rabbeinu Tam's second pair of tefillin that Chabad people wear? And the Rogachover said to him, it says in the Shulchan Aruch, a God-fearing Jew should put on Rabbeinu Tam's. But he kept pressuring him. Do you? Till the Rogachover said like this: listen, sir, when you come to me and ask me a question as a rabbi, I give you an answer. When you want to know what I do personally, that's already a different discussion. And the Rebbe kind of was telling the Rishag the same thing, his brother-in-law. You're asking me a question, I'm telling you an answer, or Nesiyim, or say Akdamas. You want to pressure me into a corner? So the same thing. I have much better advice for outside. For people outside of me, I have the best advice in the world. But when you come and say, Promoter, are you going to take the medicine? You have to ask my wife that question.
Okay. So let's give the last words to Rabbi Hecht. And after, I want to thank you both for doing this. Rabbi Hecht, last words to you.
I just want to echo Rabbi Masinta's words. It was a pleasure listening to you. I could have listened for at least another 5 minutes. Yeah, it's. I think it's an injection and an inspiration and a lift which we all needed. And I think we should all take your words to heart. And the attitude is that we have to count our blessings. We have to be thankful for them. And as we said in the Pirkei Avot a few weeks ago, or two weeks ago, that we have to be happy with our lot. And let's just end off tonight mentioning that it's an important date. It isn't in California yet, but here in South Africa, we are already nighttime. It's the 28th. It's today, 54 years ago, Jerusalem was recaptured, Yom Yerushalayim. And let's end off with the blessing which David HaMelech, King David, promises us, that Yerushalayim HaBenuyah, the rebuilt Jerusalem. And of course, when he talks about rebuilding Jerusalem, he's not talking about rebuilding the hotels and the restaurants and the shopping malls, but he's talking about rebuilding the temple. Ki ir shechubra lo yachdav, will be a city which brings all Jews together. And as you mentioned, we are one people, and what one does in one side of the world affects the other side of the world. And we pray and hope that this Yom Yerushalayim should be the last one in the diaspora. And please God, before Shavuos, one of the mitzvot of Shavuos is that we have to make a pilgrimage to Yerushalayim. So as you said, God has to put everything else aside and bring us the Mashiach. He has a whole week to build the Beis HaMikdash. And we have a whole week to organize our itineraries to get to Jerusalem for next Sunday night, where we'll meet together. Yerushalayim HaBenuyah Ki Ir Shechubra Lo Yachtav. A big thank you, Yashikayach. We should meet for happy occasions, and happiness should really flow through our veins. Yashikayach, it was a pleasure listening to you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi Masinta. Have a wonderful day.